Hello and welcome to Nerd Subculture. I'm your host Jarrod.
And I'm Edwina.
And if you're listening to this is our You're Watching That Again podcast review on movies. This week we are doing Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. This episode, it's not an episode, is it? It's not an episode.
It's not an
this
episode.
movie that we're doing a review of was released in 1987, starring Steve Guttenberg, Bubba Smith, Michael Winslow, David Graff, Tim Krasinski, Sharon Stone, Leslie Easterbrook, Marion Ramsey, Lance Krinsky, George W. Bailey, Bobcat Goldthwait, and George Gaines. Eddie.
Warning, this is a full spoiler podcast. If you haven't seen the movie, please come back when you have.
Or don't. We watched it for you, so you don't have to.
Yes. Yes, and this is the podcast where we discuss our favourite movies that we have seen way too many times. And we are going through the movies that Jarrod watched way too many times as a kid. Yes,
this one I hadn't watched as much as the other ones, I'd say, but I'd watched this a fair few. I'd say as we're going down, I'd say this one I did like and watch a fair bit. And I got to say, rewatching it, I was surprised that I kind of liked it. I was really apprehensive. I thought it'd be a lot worse than I remembered. But no, I actually kind of enjoyed it. It wasn't that bad. I mean, okay. This isn't groundbreaking cinema here, okay? But it was fun. It was okay. You know, it was just very lighthearted. Chuck it on with the kids.
You know
they don't
what?
want to watch it anyway.
You know what? I am going to agree with you.
Yeah. Oh,
I think I actually enjoyed this one a lot more than the previous ones.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this one lent more into the prank. Not the pranks. This one lent more into the stunts.
Yeah. Well, as I said, they started off as the first one started off as those raunchy sort of comedy sorority sort of movies.
80s.
Yeah, the bum titty movies, but it progressively changed into the stunt show, and this one's where they just go the full stunt show, especially with the climactic ending at the end. So
yeah, well, you can tell that. Well, I was looking up the trivia on this, and this is the film that had the highest budget.
Yes, the highest budget. Yeah,
and you can actually see it.
I can see where they spent that. Hell yeah, yeah.
But then there's also like this that fantastic skateboarding scene at the start as well. That is also really good. But anyway, did you want to
let's do a
summary?
quick recap and then we'll get back to it. We've got a lot to say. Mostly positive, I think.
Okay.
Commandant Eric Lassard decides the police force is overworked and understaffed, so he comes up with an idea of recruiting civilian volunteers to work side by side with his officers in a program called Citizens on Patrol, or COP. Kerry Mahoney and his friends Hightower, Jones, Tackleberry, Zed, Sweetchuck, Hooks and Callahan are in charge of training the civilians. The civilians include enormous Tommy House, who Hightower used to babysit, gung-ho senior citizen Mrs. Feldman, and skateboarding delinquents Kyle and Arnie. The skateboarders were caught by Captain Harris, and the judge was about to throw the book at them until Mahoney speaks to the judge and lets Arnie and Kyle join the COP program as an alternative to punishment. The judge agrees, and the boys are joined by their attorney, Butterworth. Believing the concept of citizens doing police work is pointless, Harris is determined to see the COP program fail and take over Lassard's job at the academy. When Lassard leaves on an overseas conference, Harris and his right-hand man, Lieutenant Proctor, are put in charge of the academy, and Harris immediately plots to make the COP volunteers quit and leave police work to the officers. The volunteers, however, do well in their training. In training in water safety and drowning victim rescue, Zed rescues a cadet but loses his Mickey Mouse watch, saying that was the last thing he ever stole before joining the academy. However, he gains a love interest, reporter photographer Laura, who becomes attracted to Zed. Unfortunately, Harris ruins the moment, insulting them both and inspiring Zed to replace Harris's right guard deodorant with mace, which burns his armpits. Despite pranks being pulled on him during training, Harris is still determined to make the Citizens on Patrol program fail. Jones learns that volunteers House, Kyle, and Arnie feel ready to go out and arrest criminals, so he, Mahoney, Hightower, and Tackleberry prank the boys, locking them in a prisoner transport van with Hightower, who's posing as a voodoo practitioner who reanimates his dead brother, Tackleberry, as a Jason-esque maniac with a chainsaw to make them take training more seriously. Later, after Captain Harris yells at Zed again, calling him a disgrace, Laura confronts him, saying she thinks he is perfect. After cop volunteers accidentally foil an undercover police sting, the program is suspended, much to Harris's delight. Mahoney believes he did it on purpose to shut down the cop program, paying him back by putting super glue on the mouthpiece of Harrison's bullhorn, sticking the mouth guard to his mouth. Sometime later, Harris gives some prominent citizens a tour of his precinct when Proctor is tricked into releasing every inmate in the precinct jail, including a team of ninjas. The ninjas. We'll get back to that. After the criminals imprison Harris and his guests, they escape to the streets, only to run into Mrs. Feldman, who immediately informs the Lassard Academy. When Lassard's officers hear of a jailbreak, cop volunteers are dispatched with regular officers to catch the escaped felons. After stopping a robbery and an air balloon chase, the felons are all recaptured. Meanwhile, House, Kyle, Arnie, and Butterworth save Harris and Proctor from drowning in the river. Several of the police officers who witness Lassard's program in action congratulate and compliment him on the program and his officers, much to Harris's dismay. The film ends with Mahoney and Girl toasting champagne in a hot air balloon. The end. And Girl.
And Girl, yes. We get another generic blonde love interest.
I could just say every love interest he's had in the whole series has just been a dud.
But also, like, two of them, all of them have been played by amazing actresses.
And blondes.
But they're all, all of them are successful.
They've all gone on to do better things than him. So, I don't know, it's funny rewatching it because at the time, Mahoney was the go-lucky guy who gets the girl, but it just really comes off as just a little creepy.
Yeah.
Just a little, the way he just forcibly comes onto them, like straight away, like just walks up to him and just starts chatting them up. Like, I mean, it's not that bad, but rewatching it now, it's a little, I don't know. He's coming on pretty strong, isn't he?
Yeah. But also, watching it this time, I know Mahoney's meant to be like the main character, but I swear he's hardly in this.
Yeah, I felt that too.
I think the cast has got a little too big.
Yeah, this ensemble cast to have everyone relevant and doing something, and then you have your
and
main...
then also having the stunts and then the pranks, and you can't have Mahoney doing every single prank.
Yeah.
And you can't have him doing every single stunt. So you've just, I don't know, I was just thinking, like, I can hardly even remember what he was doing in this movie other than the terrorizing a couple of teenage boys. The stuff with Zed and Laura is way more interesting.
Yeah.
And so much funnier. The way that, it's almost they do this improv off each other.
Well, yeah, so bringing that up, and every time he spoke, she would flinch. She jumped in the air.
She flinches.
I'd always noticed that, but it was really funny, like just watching her reaction every time he spoke when he like, hey, and you see her flinch. It was kind of a running joke, and it was very subtle, but I kind of liked that joke.
It was so subtle, but really, really funny. But also they were kind of doing, it did sort of feel like kind of that improv.
Well, what was it actually part of the script or something? I'd almost be suspect if there was something they were working together and they noticed that she kind of flinched. I'm not sure if that was part of it or not, but I'd like to think it was, and that's what probably made that a little funnier, like just made that up on the fly.
All of their scenes together are just hilarious. They are comedy gold.
Yeah.
But then the rest, any scene with, but Mahoney's stuff, it's just forgettable.
Yeah, I think he kind of did zone out a little bit in this film as well. This is his last film, so he's not in it for the last 3 films. So I think he kind of checked out. It almost seemed like they gave him a little send-off as well at the end in the hot air balloon and toasting Sharon Stone, we'll call her.
Yes.
Other than Girl.
I can't even remember what her Claire, I think.
Claire, maybe.
Is it Claire?
I don't know. Girl.
Yeah, I don't know.
Love interest number 4.
Love interest number 4 with the really messy hair.
Oh, what was it with that? Like when you first saw it, I was like, put a fucking comb through your hair, for
fuck's
fuck's
sake. She had
sake.
driven there in a convertible and then they hadn't bothered doing her hair.
But that was that a fashion? Was that
I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really bad. Like at some scenes it wasn't as bad, but in others it was...
Yeah, no, there were a couple of times where I was even like, oh, girl, put a comb through your hair. Like, it just looked messy. That was it. It literally just looked messy.
Yeah.
And not like deliberately messy. Like she just got out of bed.
I think the convertible is
the convertible.
Yeah. She drove the set in a convertible.
Yeah. Yes, because I was going to say, this movie has ninjas, skateboarders, grown men terrorizing teenage boys a lot, and a chase scene with aeroplanes and hot air balloons.
All right, let's get back to the ninjas.
Okay.
Oh, Captain Harris. Excuse me. Don't forget the gang of ninjas. They're my personal favorites.
I loved the ninjas as a kid. I actually really liked the ninjas. I don't know why.
The ninjas were just...
I don't know if they were really culturally appropriate. At least I think they were Asian people playing them, or Asian
Well, it's
heritage.
hard to tell because they were all covered up, weren't they? And even when they because the whole thing is that they escaped from prison, but they were all still in their full ninja. Like they still had their head.
The idea of these ninjas running around the streets attacking
They were just
people
it was
seems
this
hilarious.
ninja gang.
Yeah,
This ninja gang that they've come up with.
yeah. Well, I think at the time ninja movies were kind of popular.
Well, I thought it was because of the Michael Winslow had his. He used to like to do.
Well, he was a martial arts guy, but I think the ninjas were a bit of a fad at the time.
Okay.
So there probably was a board meeting saying, hey, we've got to put ninjas in this film.
But also Michael Winslow does.
And Michael Winslow has to bash some ninjas. Okay, all right, yeah.
He needs to fight some ninjas.
Well, actually, maybe it was I had 2 problems. We need ninjas, and Michael Winslow has to fight someone. Oh, and we just have him fight the ninjas. Problem solved.
Yeah, but he needs to fight them doing the bad
lip syncing.
the bad lip syncing.
Yeah, the classic ninja movies. Enter the Ninja, American Ninja, Ninja 3. That's the one where she was possessed by a ninja.
So yes, again, the plot of this movie doesn't make any sense, but it is fun. This movie is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, there are some pretty lame bits in it, and I'll say, yeah, they're definitely... Look, there's some parts in it that just don't work, and they just aren't really that funny.
Yeah.
I could think of... that prank scene actually probably wasn't really that funny.
The mace one?
No, I like the mace one. There was one, the one they do to the boys when they...
Yeah, it's
like
supposed
that was,
to be funny, but it
seemed
a bit extreme.
Yeah, it just kind of went on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it was really that funny. Probably the only funny part was at the end where he says to Takaburi, you can take the mask off now, when he's already taken it off.
Yeah.
That was probably the only funny part of that sequence.
You take the mask off now, Tak.
So, yeah, I thought the Harris walking into the showers.
Again.
Yeah, like he just walks off into the showers. Like,
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
But he just walked into the shower.
There were just some random weird scenes. Now, I'll bring up the scene with Tackleberry and his family. Because when we're watching it, it felt like it was setting it up so that the dad would be joining.
Yeah, I think he even said he was gonna.
Yeah, like you have him saying, I'm going to join it. Because it makes sense because his son and son-in-law and daughter are all in the police force. Why wouldn't he do it?
Yeah.
It's like actually, it's almost perfectly made for him.
Yeah, and you could see him like beating up some people in the street, some young kids or something. You could really play into that joke as well. But it didn't. It was cut out maybe or.
Well,
was it?
I don't know. I think there was a scheduling conflict. Like they left that scene in, but it happened with the daughter as well. Like she had a scheduling conflict, so she could only really come back to do that one scene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the sad story, the son.
Yeah.
He was actually there was a director.
Oh yeah, he directed the other movies. Yeah,
the previous movie.
So Tackleberry's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah, the really tall guy, yeah.
Yeah. His dad was the director. And he died. He was supposed to direct this movie, but died just before filming was supposed to begin. So it meant he'd probably done all the pre-production.
Yeah, and had to halt everything in a bit of a tragedy, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was then replaced. But yeah, I don't think he wanted to be in the movie anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the skateboarding before.
Yes.
So the Bone Squad.
Yes.
Starring a young little guy called Tony Hawk, and I remember him. I didn't know who Tony Hawk was, but when I saw that skateboarding scene, I was blown away by that. That I'd never seen anyone ride skateboards like that before. It was like they were flying on them, and the noises they were making, and the smoothness of it all. It just blew me away. That was an amazing scene that I absolutely loved that as a kid.
So the Bones Brigade for people...
Bones Brigade.
The Bones Brigade, for people who didn't know, they were managed by former pro skater Stacey Petrolta.
Who was part of the Lords of Dogtown, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
But he also worked as a second unit director on the movies.
Lords of Dogtown? No, Z-Boys, what were they called?
Yeah.
Dogtown. I'm thinking of something else.
Lords of Dogtown was the movie that he was. It was about him.
It's about them. Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
So yeah, Z-Boys and Dogtown. Look, Dogtown was where they lived.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
So they called themselves the Z-Boys.
Yeah, because it was Zephyr Skate. No, surfboards.
Yep, Zephyr. Yep.
They all that guy sort of who ran the shop got them all into the competition and stuff, or promoted them at the start, or sponsored them at the start.
Sponsored them.
Yeah. Then they all went off their own different ways. And anyway, go watch that movie. That'll explain everything a lot better. But
I actually really love that movie.
It is a good movie. The documentary and the movie.
Yeah,
recommend them both.
Actually, both are really good.
Yeah.
We pretty much talked about all the introduced characters. I'll talk about Tucker, the guy, Tab Tucker, who was House.
Yes.
And his character trait was he is generic fat guy so that we can have fat guy jokes.
Yeah.
Which they always seem to have.
Yeah.
So he sits on a seat and the guy at the end of the seat goes flying in the air.
Yeah. No, that was another one of those sort of lame-ass jokes that sort of, it wasn't really that funny.
Yes.
But speaking of Tab Thacker, I think his name is.
Is it Thacker or Tucker? Sorry.
I think it was Thacker. Because, I wanted to talk about him. He was actually a wrestling champion.
Oh.
Not a WWE wrestling, like a real wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a state champion. Had a perfect record one season, apparently, in his early days. He was about 6'4" and weighed 400 pounds.
Okay.
Which is like over 200 kgs. He was a big boy. I remember him. He had a brief movie career after he finished wrestling. He was in a few movies. One movie I do remember him being in was Wildcats, starring Goldie Hawn, where it's one of those movies where pretty much all Goldie Hawn movies in the early days with the fish out of water. So she's
in the army.
Yeah, I'm in the army.
I'm in a football team.
No, she was the coach of the football team. A woman coach. Actually starred Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson, and I think that was their first team up, and they would go on to do other things. But I remember him being in that film. And he unfortunately, he turned away from acting and ran a nightclub, became a bail bondsman, but passed away at the age of 45. He had really bad diabetes, ended up losing his legs, so he passed away in the early 2000s, unfortunately. So it's quite sad that. So
yeah, and also the talking about character introductions. Now,
sorry, and he would also star in the next film as well. So,
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the character intro. So this one's my personal favourite, and it was
David's.
It's Laura, the love interest of Zed, who was played by Veronica Mars's mum, Leanne. Leanne Mars, or her actual name, Corinne Boher. Yeah.
So I have something to say about her.
Yeah.
That actress.
Yeah. What do you remember her
Well, I had some sort of awakening watching her. I have to admit, she's pretty cute. And it's that stupid face she sort of pulls with her hand on her neck. Yes. If you look her up, you'll see that sort of picture where she's pulling this weird sort of face. Yeah, I don't know why, but I thought she was really cute.
You found her very attractive.
I did. I found her very attractive, and you know what? I still do. I think she's still very attractive.
She is absolutely gorgeous. Like I don't know, there's something incredibly endearing about her in this movie.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Like she's just very, I don't know.
There's an awkwardness about her that's just really cute. Like,
yeah.
That, as you said, find very endearing. So yeah, I definitely felt that.
But yeah, and the way that her and Zed just kind of interact with each other is just amazing. Like they have this amazing chemistry.
Yeah, I don't know why. They're such an odd couple.
Yeah, but that's why. But they have this odd, awkward chemistry that just kind of worked.
Yeah. It's a shame they didn't bring her back for any film. So yeah, old Zed, I think this is his last. I don't think Bobcat's in it again after this. So that'd have been something else that it would have been nice to continue on.
Yeah. And now I was going to bring up the other two characters that were brought into this, which is the David Spade and Brian Backer.
Yes,
as
David Spade, yes.
Now, again, they do that thing where instead of going to prison,
they go to be policemen.
They go to be policemen.
Oh, citizens on patrol. Anyway,
Yeah.
It's basically the same premise, isn't it? That they've had.
Yeah.
You know,
how does that work? Like, how does that work? That brings me to my next question for you, Jarrod.
Yep.
Is the Citizens on Patrol program a good idea in real life?
No. No, it's not. And I think the movie kind of proved that, actually.
Yeah.
But considering that the other ideas of like having people who go to prison or be policemen, this is actually a step up, to be perfectly honest. It seems more like a beefed up version of Neighborhood Watch or something when you think about it. Like that's, training them a little better.
Seems kind of dangerous. Yeah. So again, I felt like Harris was actually
he was
right.
Completely right. This was a dumb idea. Yeah.
But he just went about it all wrong. Like he went about it scheming and whatnot when he should have like actually been talking to someone going, this is a really bad idea.
He did. He said that to the commissioner. That's as high as you can go.
I suppose.
Yeah. And he's like, no, but the mayor likes this. So
well, then you go to the mayor. You say, this is actually really dangerous what you're doing.
Yes, this idea coming from this senile old man wants to train up citizens. Like, it just seems like a recipe for disaster. And
it was.
Yeah, but even worse, like getting themselves killed or trying to apprehend someone and getting killed. Like, that'd be the worst case scenario.
So the whole thing is like they're supposed to train them, but they weren't really...
What did they get them to do? I can't remember what was their training. The blowing the... Oh, actually, that was a good sequence when Sweet Chuck's showing the blowing the whistle when you're in a situation and he gets Mrs. Feldman to help with a scenario where he's going to steal her purse.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she starts beating the shit out of him and then he takes the whistle off her and starts blowing it. That was a funny scene. I liked that one.
Yeah.
Now, it's an absolute terrible idea. Funny the initial the acronym turned into COP though. Citizens on Patrol.
Oh, I'm guessing that's why they called it Citizens on Patrol.
Yeah.
So,
so this is the last time we actually see the police academy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't see the police academy again after this because the next one's in Miami.
Yeah.
So I don't think you see that, and the next ones they're kind of like in the city where they're actually like trying to solve a crime and stuff. So there's actually...
Kind of like the second movie.
Yes, similar to the second film, yes. But you at least did see the police academy at the start, briefly.
Yeah.
So I don't think maybe there might be a scene where they're supposed to be standing in the room in the police academy, but you don't see the location anymore. You don't see the mental asylum that they actually use, at the time was a mental asylum, which now I think is a college or something, I think we said before.
Yeah.
So no more police academy. The police academy.
The police academy.
With Noah Police Academy.
Yeah. Just another trivia point that I found. was that Sharon Stone only did this movie because it was offered to her during the middle of her divorce from her first husband. And it was what she needed.
Needed money for, what do you call it?
Well, no, she said hanging out with a gang of comedians, it was the best therapy.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
So she just wanted a nice, fun job to do.
Would have been an easy job too. Like
Easy.
She's barely in it. Although, deleted scenes, that leads me onto that. There were some... She actually had more of a role in this film, actually.
Yeah, I could believe that because, again, like, I swear they cut out a lot of stuff with Mahoney and her.
Yeah, there was a scene where he went back to her apartment and, very creepily tried to seduce her. There was also a scene with Harris. Now, this might have been a little subplot that they took out where I think he was infatuated by her.
Yeah.
Harris, and he turns up at a house with some flowers and a dog attacks him again because she took the dog that went for his balls.
Okay.
Which apparently when filming that scene, he said that was as closest to how he ever felt. The dog got a little into that scene, he reckons, and he was as close as he would have liked to, and almost made him fucking pull the pin on that one.
Yeah. Actually, I forgot to mention about Tony Hawk. It was apparently this was the only job that Tony Hawk was ever fired from.
Now I read about that. Yes, but was he fired?
Yeah. So he was meant to be David Spade's stunt double, but
he
he
was.
was too tall.
But he was David Spade's. I read that, but he is David Spade's stunt double.
Oh, is he?
Well, that was the interesting thing. I read that, but when you watch the film, he's dressed up as David Spade. Like he's wearing that hot pink T-shirt that everyone wore in those days.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe he was fired later or something. I'm not really sure where that came from.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's true, to be honest. I question that one because he's clearly in it, and you see him at the end. They show him at the end.
Yeah.
And you can clearly tell he's the pink skater.
Okay. Actually, there were a number of those trivia things that I was reading, and I'm like, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, that's not true. Because there was something about they were supposed to have Mauser back, and they were like, the movie came out 2 years after he had the accident that he had. And I was like, you do know it used to take like 2 years before movies were released. Like movies are produced, and then there's a whole lot of work that goes into them.
I was actually going to mention
before they're actually released.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention his accident happened in 89. This film was released in 87, which means it would have been made in 86. So it was years before he would have been in the film. So, that's not true. And he was actually a quadriplegic after falling off a ladder working at home. So, that's quite another tragic story. We keep going down these dark holes with some of these actors. Well, it has been some time. So, some of them have obviously passed on.
Well, it was a movie from the 80s.
Yes, I know.
The 80s was a long time ago.
80s was a very, very long time ago. Apparently, this is the only one to receive a Razzie nomination. Surprisingly. Now, I have seen...
Nah, that can't be possible.
Maybe that's bullshit too.
Have you seen number 6?
Well,
what was it? Mission to Moscow.
That's the last one, number 7. Yeah, that one. I mean, looking at the ratings of all the films, they progressively get worse as they continue on. So this one isn't the worst one, and the next two are lower than this, and that one's even like at a 3. I think this one's at like a 4.9. So
I'd probably give this one a bit higher than that. But I'd probably rate this one.
I'll save your rating to the end.
No. Like in the ones that we've seen so far, I'd put this at number 1.
Oh, really? You think this is the best one so far? Oh, okay. I wouldn't have said that. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think maybe they knew what they were a little better in this film. They knew what type of film they were going to be and weren't stuck in the middle of the road like with some of the other ones.
Yeah, I think once they move away from those tits and ass frat comedy style that they were originally based around, and then they leaned more into the stunts.
Now, the stunts.
And this one, you can tell they lean into the stunts because there's a lot of stunts in this one.
And you mentioned the hot air balloon chase earlier.
Yeah.
So, and you also mentioned this being the highest budget, and I think solely for this scene alone. And rewatching it, it is quite breathtaking, I have to say. Like a film that was made so long ago, like a stunt like this, you just felt like it just would be all CGI and all that stuff. But there's someone like hanging from a hot air balloon on a rope.
They jump from the plane onto the hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And someone actually did that.
Yeah. That is amazing.
That would have been terrifying because they jump onto the hot air balloon and then like slide down there.
Yeah.
Like,
you
on a
slide down the
rope.
side of it on the rope. Yeah. Yeah. And that is still amazing. I'd say that is a great stunt.
And extremely dangerous.
Extremely dangerous, yes. And the of course you've got the wing walkers as well, jumping from one plane to the other. You know, you can't ignore that. And there's even a scene where he's like dangling from it as well, which is geez, that'd have been pretty scary, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So on those the biplane chase and the balloon chase.
Yes.
So yeah, no, definitely props to that. That is a pretty cool sequence, and I think that's what saves the movie in the end. Is a big spectacular chase scene that they do.
Yeah.
So one other stunt I did want to mention, it wasn't a big, huge one, but the scene where Captain Harris is climbing over the fence and the fence collapses over. Now, you see that hits that ground pretty hard then. That guy would have had the wind knocked out of him on that one.
Yeah.
That's
I did kind of wince when...
Yeah, I mean, those olden days with stunts, that guy would have just smacked that concrete pretty hard.
Yep.
So a toast to him.
Did you have any other points you want to bring up?
No, I think, question time?
Yeah. All right, let's get into question time then.
Answer the question.
Okay, Jarrod.
Yes.
Which character was your favourite in this movie?
I liked Mrs. Feldman.
Mrs. Feldman. We haven't really talked about Mrs.
Mrs.
Feldman.
Feldman, played by Billy Bird, who had a huge, long career.
Yeah,
Past-
starting in 1951.
Yeah, she has been acting for years. Of course, she passed away at the old age of 92, 94, I think.
Yeah, she's also a bit of a badass in this.
Yeah, she is a badass. She's also one of those actresses that just always played an old woman, I think. Kind of like Angela Lansbury has sort of made a career of playing that old lady for the past 50 years, since her 40s possibly.
Yeah.
So a shout out to her, Billy Bird, the great. You know, she was basically the better white of her time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go with Zed and Laura.
Yeah.
Just those two together. Every scene with those two in it.
Yeah.
They're so good. They make this movie really good.
Yeah. And the falling in love music we get to hear again as well.
Yes. But even Zed at the poetry reading is just hilarious. What is that? Just read some poetry.
Let's do some poetry.
Yeah, and then after one of them reads the poetry and he is just bawling his eyes out and sobbing, going, "It's so beautiful." Yeah. Okay. Favorite prank, Jarrod?
I liked the mace one actually.
Yeah, I went the mace.
And
one.
I like the build up to the consequences of that. So you see the steam coming out of his arms, and then you cut to Zed in the classroom or in the room, and he's like, "Here's one of the most important things about being a cop. It's how to eat a donut."
Yes.
And then Harris coming in with his arms on that weird.
But that was also mine is where they do glue the thing to his, what do you call it? The
bullhorn.
The bullhorn to his mouth. But it's not the gluing part that's the funny part. It's when he's in the hospital and you see them holding him down.
And and they've got a blowtorch.
They've got a blowtorch. That's what makes you laugh.
He copped it really bad in this film, I gotta say. There was what else was there? There was there was the helium one. That was a bit stupid, that one. The bullhorn. There was the dog trying to bite his nuts. The mace, of course. So yeah, he got. Oh, actually, there was one other funny scene. Proctor with the tomato sauce.
Oh, yeah, I did like that one.
Yeah.
Best stunt.
Well, it's the hot air balloon chase scene, isn't it?
Well, I specifically put the guy jumping from the plane onto the hot air balloon.
Yeah. Quite amazing that, actually. Yeah.
Favourite scene?
So, yeah, scenes... Zed and Laura. Yeah. As you said, your favourite characters. They're also the best scenes, I think. Yeah. Yeah. You? Same? Agree? Concur?
Yes. Zed and Laura, all their scenes together. Particularly that there's just one scene that I don't know. It's not particularly special, but it's like when she's no longer in the Citizens on Patrol, or it got disbanded. They're all in trouble. And it's just him and her sitting under a tree.
Yeah.
And she's like wearing his jacket. And he's like singing a song or something. Is he like playing a guitar and singing a song? And it's all off key and whatnot. And she's just chilling and enjoying it. Yeah.
He tells her to shut up. Not you, the ducks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He tells that's right. He says, shut up to the ducks. And and she does that flinching thing.
She jumps in the air.
Yeah.
Not you. I meant the ducks.
Who gets the wooden spoon?
So I gave it to Sharon Stone. I think. Well, specifically her hair.
Yeah.
I don't know, just underutilized, I guess. Not really her performance per se, but again, the love interest just never worked in these films for some reason.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Because like the caliber of actor that they got for the role, it's not the actress, and the actress is doing the best they can do with what they're given. Like they're not given any.
Yeah, well, Sharon Stone and in the first one,
Kim Cattrall
are both accomplished actresses, and they know what they're doing. So, I mean, we all have an off day, but obviously there wasn't really much given to them, and just to stand there and be a love interest for Mahoney, and he has no chemistry with any of them whatsoever. Absolutely zero chemistry. He just
they're always way, way, way out of his league.
He's punching way above his weight. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not believing for 1 second that they're getting together.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna give it to Lieutenant Lassard.
Yeah. Yeah, the cop. The Citizens on Patrol is a bad idea.
Bad idea. Bad idea. And the fact that he's trying to sell it overseas as well.
Oh, yeah.
When it hadn't even been
trialed, really. And there was no really realization that his plan had failed, really. I mean, they sort of told him, but it didn't really wait on him or anything like that. And there was no...
Well, because they all come and save the day.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the Citizens on Patrol was a good idea.
Yeah.
Just because they saved the day in the end.
Yeah.
It's still not a good idea.
Because
they did actually stuff up. Like, they ruined an investigation.
Yeah. And it just seemed like that's something that will happen repeatedly,
Yeah.
But on top of that, them getting themselves killed would be the big one.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Who gets the Oscar?
G.W. Bailey, Captain Harris. I like Captain Harris. I think he probably gets the most screen time, I think, in this movie. He's probably the glue that sort of holds it all together. Because if he's not in this film, this movie is...
Well, you need the straight guy antagonist.
Yeah, and he does it quite well. And he's still acting that guy too. He's still... Was that show, The Closer, I think he was in for a while?
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Bobcat Goldthwait. Just for the... Mickey! Mickey! Mickey's death scene.
That was actually quite tragic. Mickey's death scene.
Mickey's death scene.
Yeah. The last thing he ever stole before he joined the academy.
What about the sentimental value?
Oh, the jerk.
Yeah, jerk.
What? You said bye?
He said, "No, I didn't. I quite clearly said jerk."
I said it pretty clearly, like jerk.
What do you rate the episode out of 10?
But it's not an episode, Eddie. It's a movie.
Whoops. I've got episode
I've
here.
got episode written on mine too. It's not an episode, Eddie. It's a movie. Don't you know that?
Okay.
What show are you on, Eddie? This is the movie review show, Eddie. God, we're in a whole different studio for the movie review show.
Are we?
Well, they don't know that.
What do you rate this episode out of 10 using something from the movie?
I give it 5 biplanes.
I give it 6 out of 10 neo pink skater shirts.
Neon pink. Now, that is a color I haven't seen in a long time. That color was just on everything, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Even the jet skis had those neon pink colors, and it was just everywhere, wasn't it? Shirts and t-shirts, and
I think it'll be like millennial pink. There's always sort of this pink that will.
Hot pink with a whale skin.
Yes. So I think we're at the end of the episode. Eddie, was there anything else you wanted to add to Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol?
Yeah, if you're really, this is one of those movies that, if you're like really hungover, can't think of anything to watch, you don't want something to really think about.
Yeah, it'll go past pretty quickly.
If you're sick,
yeah.
if you got COVID and you're feeling a bit under the weather, or you're just feeling a bit unwell, just pop this movie on to make yourself feel better.
I don't even know what it'll be on. Someone must have it. Some streaming service out there. You can rent it off YouTube, I think. YouTube's got a lot of these films that you can rent off. Yeah. Or there's other ways that you can acquire them.
Arr, matey.
Which are gaining popularity once again.
Yeah. Coming back to our old habits with all these different streaming services now, don't we? So, old habits die hard. So, I think we're just going to wrap this up now, Eddie.
All right.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us today. We are Nerd Subculture. My name is Jarrod.
And I'm Edwina.
And you can find us on...
You can find us on TikTok.
We're on your phone, aren't we?
Yeah, you can find us on my smartphone.
On Eddie's phone.
But you can find us on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, and we have a Facebook group.
And
if you want to support us, we have a shop.
We have coffee mugs, everyone. You can
if you follow us, if you follow the link tree, it'll take you to the merch store.
Yeah, and buy our shit. Coffee. I still haven't got my coffee mug. Get me my
go
coffee
on
mug.
this for months.
I'm never giving up.
I'll buy it for your birthday.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Let's do some poetry.